When creating learning and teaching resources, it's really important to consider the science of the way human beings learn. So many learning and teaching resources look beautiful, but don't actually allow the learner to access the material in the most effective way, and then this doesn't lead to learning mastery. Let me show you what I mean. Let's imagine you're teaching a human biology lesson. You want your students to be able to understand where the different organs are in the body and their functions. While this slide initially looks learner-friendly, it isn't actually optimized for effective learning. This is because of what is known as the Spatial Contiguity Principle. According to Mayer and his extensive research into multimedia learning, people learn better when corresponding words and pictures are presented near rather than far from each other on the page or screen. You can see that this is also the case in this next slide. The space between the labels and images is too distant for some learners. According to Mayer, the cognitive theory of multimedia learning is based on the idea that learning is an active process in which the learner strives to make sense of the presented material. This sense-making effort is supported when learners engage in mentally integrating corresponding words and pictures in their working memory. In this slide, you can perhaps see that the learner is required to add in an additional step to build their mental connections between the words and the pictures. This is extraneous processing, and as Mayer argues, is wasted cognitive effort. In contrast, people learn more effectively, according to Mayer, from graphics and narration, rather than from graphics, narration, and on-screen text. This is what he calls the redundancy principle. So in the following clips, the teacher could talk over the silent video content as they explain where the organs are in relation to others and their functions. No text is required, as the moving image does the heavy lifting for the teacher. The amount of processing required for the student is also more manageable. Had the teacher added in text to these slides, this may become too much to process for some learners, as they're processing the moving image, the teacher's voice, and the text. Mayer refers to the modality principle, which is that people learn better when words are presented as narration rather than as on-screen text. It might be tempting to add in labels here, but this is unnecessary and may even be counterproductive. Also worth noting is Mayer's image principle, which determines that people do not necessarily learn better from a multimedia lesson when the speaker's image is added to the screen. When the instructor is present in addition to moving or non-moving image or text, the student is having to process the information on the screen in addition to the facial expressions of the teacher. Again, this can be cognitively overwhelming for some learners. If you're interested in learning more about how you can adapt your learning and teaching resources to maximize learning and reduce cognitive overload, please send me a DM or leave a comment below.